Hey, everybody. Welcome once again to yet another episode of TWO Noobs Talking. It's the OG guys coming at you, and it's episode 120. Of course, with me is my great friend, John Tracy. John, how you doing, man? What's going on? What's up?
Hello, what's going on, Matt? Good to see you.
Yeah, yeah, good to see you. Yeah, I guess it's OG. I guess we should
Yeah.
probably mention this. Steve, unfortunately, let us know earlier this afternoon. Of course, we record usually around the weekends. He's in Hershey with a hockey tournament, as we mentioned last week. Unfortunately, though, he's running into some technical issues out there in Hershey. I guess it is Pennsyl-tukcy for a reason, Johnny.
I
You know
would
what I'm
totally
saying?
let's blame it on Pennsyl-tukcy if we if we have to. It's not Steve's
Got a
fault at
boost.
all.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, he's having difficulty there, so we're just the OGs are back, baby, and so we're kind of just taking a bull by the horns here, and it's kind of crazy. We're gonna miss Steve, but hopefully he's doing well out there, and hopefully Keith is playing well.
Yes, yes.
So we'll get probably an update on that next week for sure when Steve comes back. But for now, John, Texas, what's going on down there, man? Everything good?
Absolutely nothing. The weather is the weather. It can't make up its mind. Uh I
Well,
here
it's
here is
par
my
for the course here.
here's my
Yeah.
normal day of the last 2 weeks. It's, oh my god, I gotta wear a winter hat. I gotta put a hoodie on. Okay, I get into the truck. I get to the site. I walk around the site for a couple minutes. Oh my god, I got to get this winter hat off. I got to take this take this hoodie off. And then 2 hours later, it's like, why is it cold again? I got to put it back on.
Put
Put
it
this
back
back
on
on.
again.
It's
Oh gosh.
ridiculous.
Yeah, we've been getting a little mild up here too. Like it's been in the 50s
Wow.
and rain, and yeah, and now it's back down into the 30s today. It's supposed to get back up. It's like, man, just make up your damn mind, weather. Come on, help a brother out over here.
No
It's
wonder
like the
there's
swings are not doing well for me at all. I don't know about that. But
no
man,
wonder there's
ugh.
conspiracy theories about weather.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Some wacky conspiracy theories, which I think
Sometimes,
we'll get
yes.
into. Yeah, exactly. But before we dive into our first topic, of course, we have our fun fact presented by John.
Yes.
Of course, before we dive in, this fun
Yes.
fact is brought to you and sponsored by W Energy Drinks. Go to w.gg. And if you go there and of course, enter in our code, special code 2 Noobs Talking, that's TOO Noobs Talking, all one word, you get 10% off your order. So go to w.gg, place your order today. Johnny, what do you got for your fun fact, man? What do you
So I
have for
found
us?
this out last night, and like when I find things out, right before the show, I like to tell everybody. So here's one. I found out last night that Chris Farley had recorded 85% of Shrek before he passed away.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So he was almost done the movie in
Oh,
'87 when he passed away, and that
wow.
and that led to them hiring Mike Myers to do it. And Mike Myers was the one. Here's the second fact to it. Mike Myers was the one to tell them
Mhm.
that he needed a Scottish accent. So the Shrek that we all know and love, you can thank Mike Myers
Mike
for because
Myers for.
he put the accent on him.
No kidding. Wow. It makes you wonder, like, what the original recording. I wonder if they still have that
I
recording.
would hope so, and I hope that at some point they would allow us the pleasure to, because what a talent he was.
Oh,
I could only imagine what he would have come up with.
kind of a knockoff of John Candy in a way. That's the way I kind of look at it with
He
Chris
had
Farley, but
he fit that great physical comedy
he did.
genre. He had his own stuff. I mean, so his movies are incredibly
Yeah.
funny, depth
Yeah.
for being as dumb as they are. They had some serious good story depth for being as dumb as most of his movies were. That's what I kind of
Yeah.
liked about him.
Yeah.
He fit that mold that was missing.
Yeah. Well, and it's missing. I think it's still even missing now.
It
in today's
absolutely is
comics.
missing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You know, it's like, I think a lot of the comics now are mostly stand up now. You don't see the physical comics that you used to. Like, Michael
Yeah.
Richards was another one that was just a tremendous physical comic. Back in the day, of course, played Kramer on Seinfeld. But yeah, man,
hmm
you miss those. You miss that a little bit. And yeah, just wonder if it's ever going to come back again. You know, maybe it'll
I
swing
would
back
hope.
around.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Get rid of cancel culture, and I bet
Yeah.
you could have a funny movie again.
It's not. Hopefully, we won't hold our breaths on that. But
Yes.
yeah, I'm with you on that, Johnny. Yeah, we need that back. We do. Do need those physical comics back. But in any event, John, let's go ahead and just dive right into our first topic. And John, did you know that gas stoves are racist? I don't know about
Yeah.
that, but New York Post article here: Biden administration weighs nationwide ban on gas stoves. What the heck? I
Not
love this
shocked.
opening. Yeah, exactly. I love this opening sentence
Hmm.
here by the New York Post. Millions of Americans may soon be entering not stove season as opposed to hot
Yeah,
stove season with baseball. Not stove season. Love it. Biden administration is considering a nationwide ban on gas stoves, citing the harmful pollutants released by the appliances, according to the Consumer Product Safety Commission.
that sounds
The
expensive.
CP yeah. Also sounds corrupt. The
Probably.
CPSC is mulling the action after recent studies showed emissions from the devices can cause health and respiratory problems. The CPSC Commissioner Richard Trumka Jr. said this, gents, quote, or John, quote, "This is a hidden hazard. Any option is on the table. Products that can't be made safe can be banned." So it goes on to say that basically the American Chemical Society, New York University, law
Hmm.
schools, and Institute for Policy Integrity, that sounds really
Yeah,
expensive as well,
yeah.
found that gas stoves, which are used about 40% of U.S. homes, while the remainder use various forms of electric cookers, emit pollutants, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, fine matter at levels deemed unsafe by the Environmental Protection Agency and the World Health Organization.
Oh, and we know
And of course,
both of
these
them
studies
absolutely are just salt of the earth organizations that don't have any corruption in them at all.
not at all, not
None,
one
not
bit.
not even one,
Absolutely.
not even the parking attendant is corrupt in those organizations. They are that
And of
good.
course, it's all about yeah, exactly. It's all about the kids too, Johnny. 12% of childhood asthma cases can be attributed to gas stoves, according to a report published last month by, and I love these sentences of these organizations, John, the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, or the IJERPH. I guess that's
I have
profound,
nothing
right?
for that one. Nothing.
Nothing on that one either.
Sounds like
Um,
BS is what it sounds like.
exactly. So, John, gas stoves, of course, well, before we just recorded online, Kathy Hochul tried to sneak something in
Yeah,
and did, I guess, successfully, kind of saying, you know what, gas stoves, they're banned in New York State. And of course, New Yorkers all pissed off
yeah.
at that. Let's
Can't
get your
believe they
thoughts on
elected
this,
her.
John.
I
Yeah.
can't believe they reelected her.
No, yeah,
She's such an
exactly.
idiot.
Yeah.
Eh,
What are your thoughts on this? This
what was the first thing
crazy.
all three of us said when we were doing pre-production with this article? It's like, did anybody ever think about turning the hood on? Like,
Yeah.
I would bet you dollars to donuts here that they
Mhm.
are doing tests without safety equipment in which are put in place for these things to run. I guarantee they're cooking the books.
Yes.
This is
Mhm.
there is no way gas stoves would have passed the 80s
Yeah. Yeah.
if they're saying what they're saying is true. There's no way. There is no way the new designs and the way they've changed it, how they put gas into the house and all that. There's no way they would allow this if this was as bad as they're saying it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I think even the gas stoves, we'll have to look this up. Maybe I'll throw this up on post production. I want to say that they were probably introduced in the 1930s and 40s.
Mhm.
I would imagine that's probably when they were first introduced to the marketplace. And, it was kind of like, I think there was no such things as hoods back in the day. I don't think.
Yeah.
Again, could be wrong.
I mean, there might have been, but not at the wonderful rate that they're created now
Oh,
over
yeah.
that you can almost cook with no smoke
Yeah.
if you know what you're doing, if you know when to turn it on,
Yes.
what speed to have it on, how to
Yeah.
cook. You can
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You could easily do it that
Yeah,
way.
I've
You're
cooked in
exactly
shitty
right.
apartments, so you can't do that. When there
No.
isn't a good
No.
system.
Yeah, exactly. I have a hood, basically
Mhm.
back there in the kitchen, and so basically it kind of blows it up and then out.
Yep.
So it essentially takes all of that monoxide and right up a chute, basically, and do a event and never see it again. And really, it was kind of the first time in a while. It was like, okay, yeah, if there are pollutants, and there are,
Yeah, there, of
and
course
they're
there will be.
dangerous. Yeah, it's just something you want to throw on. You've got a couple of switches, get it up and into the hood and
Mhm.
out of your system. Exactly. Because standing over a gas stove, especially when the pilot light doesn't fire, it's pretty dangerous and deadly.
Yeah.
In that regard, I can even remember my upstairs neighbor.
Mm.
This was a couple neighbors ago. Would put steak, would cook his steak in the oven and would forget.
Oh, geez.
He'd take a nap,
Oh, geez.
and all of a sudden you'd smell the gas, and it would drive you immediately from the house. And of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
like when he's doing this at like 7 o'clock at night, it's kind of like
It's cold
great.
out. It's cold outside.
Yeah, it's a little cold out or it's raining. What the hell? It's like, what are you doing to me over here? But yeah, I think you're right on the money, John. I can't disagree with you on this. I think there is something going on with these studies. What kind of study are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Are we putting it without the hood, or are we putting it with the hood? If that's the case, why don't we try and improve the hood system, basically, essentially, for these gas stoves?
Wouldn't you do that before
And
banning them?
yeah, why do we have to be so darn reactionary against this? This is
Well
what's so crazy.
well, the Biden
Go
administration
ahead.
likes everything electric, so they don't like
Wave of the
they
future,
don't
John.
like gasoline, they don't like cars, they don't like stoves.
Yeah.
Soon you're gonna have to just pack your, food with ice because they don't like electricity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really amazing. The CPSC, short of barring the manufacture or importation of gas stoves, the CSPC could also impose emissions standards. Really? Okay.
That would make
Um,
more sense than banning the stoves.
yeah.
It would make a
Yeah.
little more sense.
Little more sense, exactly. Jill Notini, a vice president with the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers, chimed in and said some really interesting quotes here. John, get your thoughts on this. Quote, ventilation is really where the discussion should be, rather than banning one particular type of technology. Spot on the money.
Yeah.
Banning one type of a cooking appliance is not going to address the concerns about overall indoor air quality. We may need some behavior change. We may need people to turn on their hoods when cooking. And that might be
Yeah.
something, it's kind of like you might want to think about doing, just as a heads up in that regard.
Yeah,
Any
that's a
final
great
thoughts on this,
defense to
John? Go
the
ahead.
it's a great defense to that argument.
Yeah.
It really is. It's not it's banning it is it's the same stuff we talked about with you do not have the cooking technology to ban stoves because how are people going to cook? I mean, electric stoves, I've cooked on them for years. I cook on them right now. They
Mhm.
are not the easiest thing
No.
to create a good meal off of, and well, the Biden administration are fun suckers, so of course they don't care. Like
Yeah.
they don't care about you and your individual liberties at all.
Hmm.
They've shown that for the last 2 years. That's not
Hmm.
anything new. I'm not spewing anything new. But
Hmm.
coming up with this is another Biden administration BS move to try to it's a power grab.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, we pride ourselves here at Two Noobs is really looking at the 30,000-foot view, and you're looking at something where it's like if it's as simple as improving the ventilation air quality. If it's something where not only do you have the hood going on, but you get an air filter, and they're not that expensive to buy, basically an air filtration system that you could put just really right outside and circulate within the home. That's been a great thing for me, Johnny, to be
Mhm,
perfectly honest. I have one of those things,
mhm,
and it's every time I cook, whether it's in the oven,
mhm.
using the air fryer, using the gas, that thing kicks in and it just blows it right on out. It's great. It's the best invention possible in that regard. You want to
Yeah.
be able to get all of this pollutancy out of the house, and by any means necessary. Absolutely. You don't ban like ban like it's the typical cancel culture. Why do we have to ban gas stoves for God's sakes? I don't
You're right.
understand.
You're absolutely right.
Don't Yeah, don't get it. dropping my pens. What the heck's going on over here, Johnny? I mean, what the
I'm
heck?
missing Steve
Anyways,
to dance with.
I
I'm just dancing by myself over here.
dance with you. What the heck? I'll dance with you.
There you go. Thank you, Matt. Matt's such a good friend. He never leaves you out,
Hey,
man.
I always try and chime in, as best I can, Johnny. You know what I'm saying? So, well, why don't we change gears here? Second topic.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very interesting article that Steve afforded to us, and I wish he was here to talk about it because I
Yes.
know
Yes.
this is great. Of course, we're hockey guys, we love it. But
Mhm.
one thing I didn't realize that the Flyers have been doing was reviewing previous plays, I guess, on
Mhm.
iPads.
Yeah, pretty much.
And headline from PhillyHockeyNow.com: John Tortorella takes away iPads from the Flyers bench. Ariel Mendez article here. He writes this: while the Flyers have given John Tortorella plenty to be happy with recently, and they are playing well, by the way,
Absolutely.
6-1 in
Absolutely.
the last 7, something like that. There is one thing that has bugged him about this team, and that's the iPads on the bench. We often see players immediately going to the iPad after a play on the ice. They're quick to pull it out, dissect what went right, what went wrong. Some like it, others don't. Tortorella, it's out of here. And quote on him, this is after a recent Flyers win over the Caps. Love it. Quote, we took the video on the bench off the bench because we want them to just worry about their next shift. I think it's a major problem with us understanding the momentums of the game. You can't understand momentums of the game if you're looking at the iPad all the time. We took them off, aren't even going to use them so that they watch the game and see what's next. And then, of course, it goes on talking about Travis Konechny, TK.
Mhm.
Always goes for it. Young kid, scoring a
Good
ton of
player.
goals, by the
Good,
way.
yeah, good player.
Yeah, he is really showing up. Yeah, playing really well, playing out of his mind last few weeks. And like Tortorella's like kind of picking on him a little bit, saying like, yeah, okay, TK's always going for the iPad. It's like, it's ridiculous. Like, he doesn't have to do that all the time. So he's banned them from the bench. John and I, of course, like played back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Sorry, we're dating ourselves. But Johnny, thoughts? What do you think about all of this? Taking away the iPad off the bench. Go for
I
it.
love it, but I said this in pre-production also. Like, I would love to see how this negatively or positively affects
Mm,
the team. I'm gonna really look forward to seeing. I want to know. I want to know if they actually do help or not. I'm all for the iPad, the instant replay, the stuff they have in baseball where they can go and
mm,
watch their
mhm,
pitch. I'm all for that. Some
mhm,
people need it. Some people don't use it. Bryce Harper, I
mm.
don't believe uses it. I think he uses it after the game. He's not a very I want to see it immediately kind of guy. He's more of a team rah rah guy. So there's different, and Konechny being one of those, he wants to see it instantly. I want to see what
Yeah.
his performance does from it. I think it'll be better because of what Tortorella is saying is spot on. You should
Mhm.
be on the bench interacting with your teammates and
Yeah.
watching the play, the momentum. What if you're watching that iPad and you don't catch that
Oh,
guy coming off that second, you might miss a breakaway. You might miss
yeah.
you might get scored on because you're not
Yeah.
putting full attention. I understand that they're probably not looking at him all the way straight through the line shifts. But
Mhm.
you don't know. That could be something that catapults this team to a whole nother level
Massively.
because their heads are on the ice, not
Yeah.
on the
So
individual
focused on
performance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is a great I'm just going to read this paragraph here for us, Johnny, and again, I get your thoughts. Someone who often goes for the iPad for guidance is Travis Konechny, and that was someone who Tortorella mentioned directly as a player who does use it too much. But Konechny is also one of those players who is constantly watching the game as well, and he has the mindset that he's not afraid to make a mistake. He showed that with his hat trick on Wednesday night. That's how Tortorella wants the rest of the team to be. As one of the players who often uses a Konechny heard his fair share of chirps when
Mm,
they were taken away
of
from
course.
for this
Oh, of
game.
course.
Konechny joked after the game, quote, everyone was chirping me because I was always watching them, but I don't care. It's
There's a
typical,
reason,
you
yeah, there's
know?
a reason he went after him specifically because he's
Yeah.
producing and using the iPad, so
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Of course, I played on defense. You were primarily on the forward, right? I think, Johnny, if I
mhm,
remember right, you were always up on the forward. I couldn't picture myself like after a defensive shift, after I block a couple of shots, get the puck out of the zone, go to the bench. The first thing I'm doing is looking for the iPad. No, like the first thing I'm doing is I'm getting my wind back as quickly as I possibly can, getting some water, then looking up and seeing what the hell's going on out there and watching, what is happening. I think that would be for me from a player standpoint would be a massive distraction to me if I all of a sudden was curious of like, oh, well, wonder what happened like a minute and a half ago. Why did I give up what I gave up? I have a pretty decent memory, knock on wood, of what happened. And I would love to be able to kind of just, take a step back and go, okay, this is not what I need to do. Here's what I need to do going forward. That kind of a deal. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. But for me, it's like I don't need electronic distractions on the bench. You know what I mean? Like I don't need that. I could just get my win back, get rested, then go out and then watch the game and then see what transpires, then chip in when I'm ready.
I
What do you
think
think?
nowadays it has a part in the game. It's but it because
Mm,
these players have grown up into the game with it.
yeah.
They've been looking at film from a very young age.
Yeah.
So I love the change in the sport where the video became available. Chase Utley was a huge guy. He would
Mhm.
immediately after his at bats would go right to it. He
Yeah.
was he was one of those like Travis is immediately to it because it made him such a better player. And I'm
Yeah.
all for it, but on the bench in hockey is that's a weird place to have an iPad. When Steve sent the article and I kind of looked up, I just wanted to see like if all the teams did it, if it was like because I didn't know much about it.
Mm,
I got a bunch of videos of guys throwing the iPad. And I was like, well, that really doesn't it really doesn't make sense. Like they
yeah.
saw they made a mistake and now they're throwing the iPad over there. Like that seems a little dumb to me. So I don't know if it belongs in the sport of hockey. My
Mm,
thought when we were talking about it in pre-production, my main thing is why can't they just clip 20 minutes together for the NHL players and watch it at intermission because hockey
yeah.
has as long as they play, they have time, they have downtime.
Mhm.
Why wouldn't that be where you would that's where I think film would work better.
I think that's exactly what takes place in those locker rooms, Johnny. I think when you have that amount of time, 15 minutes, I think, usually
Yeah.
15, 18 minutes, you have enough time to rewind what's going on in the first period. You take a look at what their tendencies are, what your opponent's tendencies are, I should say. And you take a look and you absorb that in. Okay, this is what
Mhm.
they did. This is how they chipped the puck in. This is what you go and get it out of the zone quickly. It's kind of one of those things where if you're able to view that, then heading into that second period, okay, this is what we got to do to stop them, that kind of a
Mhm.
deal, and then make adjustments in that regard. I think that the distraction comes, and I think Torts is right. The distraction comes in game when you're
Yes.
not focused and you're all of a sudden you're staring at your iPad, so constantly focused on what you're doing as opposed to the team around you. It kind of puts yourself above the team, and that's not exactly what hockey is supposed to be all about. It's never about the individual; it's always about
Mhm.
the team in that regard. So, I mean, got to give props to Tortorella, man. I mean, I know he's trying to he's trying to polish a lot of crap out there right now, but
Oh,
he's doing
absolutely.
a whale of a job. Yeah,
Yeah.
whale of a job. And this is, I think, one step in the right direction, right? I mean, that's really what it's all about. Johnny, as you're dancing along there,
Sorry.
I had a dream once, right? I had a dream that I was kind of like sitting minding my own business at my workplace, and I had a file, right, that I had to upload,
Mhm.
and the upload happened, but there was a corruption
There
to
you
that
go.
file, which I didn't realize, and then all of a sudden I woke up. Well, that was just a dream. This person that this happened to, good
I
Lord Almighty.
I used to worry about that all the time when I was rendering video for Two Noobs.
Yeah,
I'd be asleep. I'd
yeah,
wake up early in the morning, making sure
yeah.
everything was fine because you never know. I don't want to do this all over again.
It's like, "Oh my gosh, I don't wanna have to do this all over again." Luckily, we don't have that responsibility, but, topic 3 here, Johnny, yeah, this is, you wanna talk about wanting to get away, right?
Yeah.
Southwest, you wanna get away? Um,
what a great, very vague. That was one of the best commercial series
oh,
ever.
it was.
It
It
was
was.
just
Oh, it was
ridiculous things would
ingenious.
happen, and then it was, oh,
Yeah.
you want to get away?
You know what? Ingenious. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This, though, software maintenance mistake at center of major FAA computer meltdown. So this is dated January 11th. This happened this week,
Yep.
I believe. The ground stop and Federal Aviation Administration systems failures Wednesday morning. That was Wednesday morning, the 11th of January, that impacted thousands of flights across the U.S. appear to have been the result of a mistake that occurred during routine scheduled systems maintenance, Johnny, according to a senior official briefed on the internal review. The official said an engineer replaced one file with another, not realizing the mistake was being made. Dun dun dun. Oopsie. As the systems began showing problems and ultimately failed, FAA staff feverishly tried to figure out what had gone wrong. The engineer who made the error did not realize what had happened. And the official, in probably one of the greatest quotes of 2023, which I'm nominating right now, quote, "It was an honest mistake that cost the country millions." That's really
Why is he being like, not your voice? I'm just saying that quote just
Yeah.
like what it's like saying to a kid like, you know,
How
bam,
you
you
did
got it on the
something
wall.
wrong.
It's gonna cost me thousands of dollars to get that off the wall. Like, why would you add that? That seems dumb. Why couldn't you just leave it and it's an honest mistake?
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Why
it's
did he
kinda
have to
like
throw it? It cost the country millions of dollars. Like that's
dollars.
just
Yeah.
mean. Like why why is he being so
It's
mean?
just it's so poorly worded. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like it's literally like if you're on the receiving end of that honest mistake, it's kind of like if you're a salesperson flying, right? You're kind of like, that sucks. I've got to reschedule everything all over again. You know, that's not exactly an honest mistake that, that kind of a
But if
deal.
he's
So,
gonna call it an honest mistake, just call it an honest mistake. You don't need to point
yeah,
out that millions of dollars were
we're
ruined, or
lost.
call it a serious
Yeah,
mistake and millions of dollars were lost. Seemed that he was
exactly.
trying to tread lightly and did not do a very good job of it.
Earlier Wednesday, the FAA said normal operations were resuming gradually after ordering a nationwide pause on all domestic departures until 9 a.m.
Oh,
on Wednesday
jeez.
morning. Wow. Following a computer failure that had delayed and canceled flights across the country. Um, Departures were resuming at about 8:15 a.m. Eastern at two of the nation's busiest hubs, Newark, New Jersey, in the
Mhm.
swamplands of Jersey, Johnny, and Atlanta. That's a huge hub,
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
in the
Oh, yeah.
South. We expect departures to resume at other airports at 9 a.m., according to the FAA officials. The affected notice to all air emissions, or NOTAM, NOTAM, notice to all air missions system, is responsible for sending out flight hazards and real time restrictions to pilots.
Mhm.
Um, and just goes on that basically, had the FAA's new NOTAM system been in place, redundancies would have likely caused the cascading failures. With the antiquated system in place, there was nothing to stop the outages. 7,300 delays, 1,100 cancellations. Johnny, Pete Buttigieg, transportation secretary, just
He's
can't
he's
seem
he's
to do
bad
his
at
job,
he's bad
man.
at stuff. He's very bad at
It's
stuff. This is him
very, very
worrying more about
colonial.
his, more worried about his personal life, first of all, and
Yeah,
2, more worried about things that don't, uh, align with what his job is supposed to do.
yeah,
They said when Biden was on the campaign trail, the one thing is they were going to upgrade these systems. We're now
yeah.
2 years in, and
And
they're
it
not,
hasn't happened.
and one simple file, whoop,
And you cancel 1,100 flights and 7,300 delays.
and
I
if
mean,
they woulda
that's
upgraded in a timely manner,
yeah. You do
This
it
wouldn't have
gradually.
happened. It would have been
Yeah.
redundancy. It never would have got this bad. It's just it's another failure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Buddha
I can't be nice at this point. Like
no.
this
No.
is 2 years of hell.
No, if you're in the airport on that day and
Mhm.
you have to get somewhere, like you're dependent upon
Yeah,
this, and all of a sudden you get
that's
a
a
notice
real
like that,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. All of a sudden you're scrambling to, okay, well, what's the next available flight? Well, it's not going to be available until maybe noon, or we don't know when. Okay, great. So either I've got to get a hotel room and just stay the night near the hotel, or I've got to just come back tomorrow morning. And meanwhile, you're making all kinds of calls. I mean, it's ridiculous. Buttigieg was on CNN on
Mhm.
Wednesday and
Of course
said
he was.
this, John. Now, this is a tremendous quote here. Quote, when there's an issue in the FAA that needs to be looked at, we're going to own it. Really? Same way we asked the airlines to own their companies and operations. So, what? You're pointing the finger at the airlines for not doing their job when the FAA is supposed to do its job as well? Coordinate all this crap? Like, are you kidding me right now with
If
that
he would
quote?
have
That's
upgraded the
ridiculous.
if he would have upgraded the system, they wouldn't have had this issue.
On what caused the system meltdown, Buttigieg said that overnight there was an issue with irregularities in the messages that were going out. Though more needs to be learned on what led to the widespread failure. He said this, John, to end it. Now we have to understand how this could have happened in the first place. Why the usual redundancies that would stop it from being that disrupted did not stop it from being disrupted this time, and what the original source of the errors or the corrupted files would have been. Nice word salad. That's all I gotta
he,
say.
just, he just repeated exactly what the problem was.
Exactly.
The desk
I'm
broke,
sure
so
there's
what we
pretty
have
good
to do
updates,
is go back. So my desk just broke, so I have to go back and rethink on how my desk was built to figure out how I can stop it from breaking the next time. That's pretty much what he
yeah,
said.
yeah, pretty much. Senior official briefed on the FAA computer problems told ABC News, eyeball ABC News, I should say, the software issue developed late last night and led to a cascading series of IT failures. I could just see the dominoes falling as one server after another is dying, culminating in this morning's disruption. As has been reported, the disruption is confined to the commercial side of aviation.
Well,
Commercial.
that's
Well,
good.
thank God. Yeah. Give me a break. As of now, the assessment is the failures are the result of a glitch and not something intentional. Mhm. All possibilities are being
I don't
looked
think
at
we were
to
ever
ensure
saying it
FAA
was
systems-
intentional.
Yeah, well, it was intentional by the one person that accidentally put one file where
I
it
know.
shouldn't have been, sounds like. And oh man alive. But yeah. Well, and that's scary, Johnny, to be perfectly honest. I mean, that's really just unbelievable. The software just seems to be so out of date in the airlines, which is scary. It's like, you're up in the air and it's like you're scheduling all this stuff. It's like, where is the project managers right now? Where are they in the airports? That's my question. Yeah. Crippled Southwest. Yeah, the crippled Southwest this holiday season, and they were way behind the eight ball. And it's like, you got to stay on top of this. Technology moves so quickly. That's the thing, too. I mean, it's like, you got to be on top of these things. Yeah. All right, Johnny, as we kind of, heading into the end
Wrap
of
it up.
this, wrapping this up, episode 120, topic number 4. And yeah, we're going back to the hockey world. And we're going to the best player in the world. Conor McDavid had an interesting take, John, earlier, or actually it was yesterday.
Yep.
Last minute article. I love it when we are looking for an additional topic here on Two Noobs to talk about. But Conor McDavid wouldn't mind seeing shootouts being replaced with an extra 5 minutes of 3-on-3 overtime. He wants to nix the shootout completely. He appeared, of course, on Tim and Friends Sportsnet on Thursday. He discussed, of course, numerous topics, but his stance on shootouts, he's not a big fan. He hasn't been always willing to provide criticism, but the 2-time Hart Trophy winner didn't hide his feelings about deciding games with a skills competition. He said this, quote, "No one loves a shootout. crappy way to finish the game. I couldn't agree more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, McDavid also mentioned that playing 10 minutes of overtime could be hazardous for players' health as it would add to their already high regular season workloads. At the same time, though, that could be worth the risk. Well, rotate the lines. You only got 3 players out there. McDavid, of course, said this: at the end of the day, also, it's about the players' health and safety. Long season, overtime taxes a lot of guys. So making that longer would have some effects there, but I agree. No one wants to see the game end in a shootout. I would totally agree. Of course, Kevin BX chimed in. He said, I totally agree. Johnny, and he also said this too, which I think is just a great quote. Shootouts were exciting when it first came because before that, we were ending games in ties. And we were like, no, this isn't soccer. We want to see a winner. Shootout was great, served its purpose. And now it's like, well, okay, now we need to move away from that and just go 3-on-3. What do you think, John?
They should have went to 3-on-3 before the
Years
shootout.
ago.
Yeah, years ago. This is just, and you said it best, and we all know why they went to the shootout. That was ESPN, that was Sports Center, they were pushing it. The contracts were coming up. It was not a good scene back then. The shootout, it's dumb. It is a skills competition. He is absolutely right. It's a skills competition. This is something I want to see. Bring back that in the All-Star game. Let's do a shootout in the All-Star game. Let's have fun when fun is fun. Like that's not how you end the game. You do not end the game that way. I don't like it.
No, I totally agree. It's interestingly here in this article, 3-on-3 overtime in the East Coast Hockey League changed to a 7-minute format prior to the 2019-20 campaign.
Okay.
It didn't eliminate shootouts in that season, but it proved successful. More contests ending in the extra frame as opposed to shootouts. This is from ECHL Stats, their Twitter feed. I'm just going to throw that up here on screen. 20.3% of the games went to overtime. 78% of those games in OT compared to 61% in 2018-19. So there's more of an increase. So they, of those 20%, 78% ended in the overtime session compared to 61% the previous year. 22% went to a shootout compared to 39% in 2018-19. Okay. So less shootouts, more games being decided in the extra frame. 25 games ended between the 5 and 7 minute mark of OT. And of course, if they had not, those 5 minutes, if they didn't extend that, they would be going to a shootout. So you're just tacking on 2 additional minutes in that regard. Yeah.
Well, he's adding, the initial is to add 5 minutes to lose the shootout, right?
Right. McDavid's like, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't like be totally on board with a 10-minute overtime because of the player health and safety and all that kind of stuff. But the ECHL, what they've done is they added 2 additional minutes to their original 5 minutes. So they had a 7-minute overtime period, 3-on-3.
Yes, but still, but they still had a shootout.
Right. But
okay.
But the amount though was reduced because they added 2 additional minutes to the overtime period. So which makes sense.
I'm more for the 10-minute because, like you said earlier, just 3 players per. So you have a chance to have how many lines? Because you got 5 normally. You're dropping that to 3, so you got 2 pair and 2 pair and 2 pair. You could 30-second to 45-second. No one's really. That's not a lot of time added to the ice time. I don't believe so at all. I mean, over the course of the season, yes, are you logging a little more ice time? But that would just be a coaching change. Because what I feel the shootout has become is it's now coached just to hold on to the shootout because we've got the best players. The game will adapt. Yeah. And I don't really buy yes, it's gonna add, but I don't buy that that's a reason not to do it.
Right.
I think what you do is you go 3-on-3, you go 10 minutes, and you bring back the tie. If you can't finish it in 3 periods and 10 minutes,
Done.
That's on you guys.
Yeah.
That game obviously is not that exciting, and ESPN shouldn't control the way that goes. I understand they pay for it, but I mean, league rules should be league rules. It shouldn't be run over by a sports organization that wants Sports Center and they don't care about the viewership of the game.
Totally agree, Johnny. I think, for me, it's like, I think you just eliminate the shootouts altogether.
Yes.
And I think, to your point, I would probably just put it at a 7 or 8 minute overtime period and call it a day. Yeah. If they tie after 8 minutes of overtime after playing a full 60, done. No need to go on. No need to have a winner. You can have the tie. You have the tie, period. That kind of deal. Sudden death is perfect. You don't need to have one other chance to try and score, to respond back.
Yeah, I don't like it. Yeah. I never liked it though. So I'm just gonna be get off my lawn with that. I've never enjoyed the shootout ever. It's not something that.
Yeah, it's a weird way to end it. It does kind of leave a sour taste in your mouth because it's like because you've seen a full 60-minute tilt, then an additional 5 minutes, and they still can't score, and then it's like you're gonna go best of 3 to shoot.
Yeah, and some players have
go to the 20s, and it's like no, sometimes it's like okay, that's it, done. Just call it a day. Right at the end of the day.
It's the game should be. I would like to bring it back to, better times when like I said, I don't think many sports fans, and I could be wrong, but hockey fans, I don't think they were what they're saying they were in the article. Be like, oh, this is dumb. It's like soccer. Like, it's definitely hockey is nothing like soccer. Well, it's completely like soccer, but it's nothing like soccer.
Yeah.
And the fandom of the tie, I remember just they tied last night. Okay, so that's 1 point. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't. It's more about getting to the playoffs because that's where, and you don't do a shootout in the playoffs, and that's the best hockey you'll ever see is playoff hockey. So I don't know why we just can't up the time a little bit and 3-on-3 and go for it. That's way more exciting to me. 3-on-3 is way more exciting than.
Yeah.
When
I will never forget that first time.
When you give that talent.
Yeah. And that amount of space. Good Lord Almighty. I remember the first time, I think it was like Gossesbear's first game winner for the Flyers. It was against the Kings and it was in overtime. It was 3-on-3. And it was, everybody was standing. Yeah. The whole building was standing seeing this because the end-to-end action was amazing. And it's like you see this happen in front of you. And of course, like Gossesbear had a tremendous shot from the top of the circle, be quick, and next thing you know, it's like we're celebrating Flyers win. It was great. It was something I'd never seen. And the immediate reaction I had, Johnny, I wish Lindros and Renberg and Leclerc and all those guys had that ability. Oh, instead of having to deal with ties and shootouts and all that kind of stuff. No. No ties. Yeah, that kind of a deal. Go for it in that regard. So.
Yeah, I would love to see. I would love to absolutely see hockey go back to that. Just maybe even do it. What about 5 minutes, and you drop from 5 to 4, and then if you don't get it done with the 4, you drop to 3. I'd be okay with that too. That'd be a good overall change that would make more sense to me.
Might just work in that regard. Yeah, you never know. Well, John, that's it. Episode 120 in the can. God, it went by real quick. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, we want to kind of, before we get out of here, we'll just wish Steve all the best to you. And of course, like we're hoping that you do well today, and Keith as well. Looking forward to getting our regular trio back to normal next week. Episode 121. So until then, gents, Johnny, I guess we'll see you next week. And to all of our audience, I guess. In that regard.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Hey, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Two Noobs Talking. If you want to see more of Two Noobs, you can check us out on our various social media platforms located right here. Until then, see you next week with another episode of Two Noobs Talking. Take care.